Good morning, my dear students. Today, in the yesterday's previous video lecture, we have studied about the components of the bridges and the classification of the bridges and how to calculate the discharge, the various methods which involves to calculate the discharge for the bridges, and also we have solved one numerical problem in that. Okay. Uh, Today we'll study about the linear waterway. There are some more terminologies are there. We'll study here. So first one is here the linear waterway. When the water course to be crossed is an artificial channel for irrigation or navigation, or when the banks are well defined for natural streams, the linear waterway should be the full width of the channel or a stream. So if you just read the name of the linear waterway, so you can understand what is that one. It is the total width of the water which is going to be flowing across the bridges or across the bridges. Okay, bridges, or you can consider a dam also. Means the whatever the top width of the water which are flowing, that is linear waterway. The top width of the water which has been flowing across the bridge is the linear waterway. For large alluvial stream with undefined banks, the required effective linear waterway may be determined using Lacey's formula. Okay, so again, in the determining effective linear waterway, means it is the effective, you have studied about various things about effective here. The effective length of the linear waterway, effective length of linear waterway means it is the width of the linear waterway minus there is a number of piers, okay, and the foundation, that is equal to linear waterway. Effective length of linear waterway is equal to the length of linear waterway at the top, okay, minus the width of the number of piers or foundations, that is equal to effective length of the linear waterway. Okay, here W is equal to effective linear waterway in meters. Q is the designed maximum discharge in meter cube per second. C is a constant usually taken as a 4.8 for resin channel, but may vary from 4.5 to 4.6 according to the local conditions. So he has directly given the formula to calculate the effective linear waterway, that is W equal to, it is square root of the discharge into the C. This is a constant. You can take C is equal to 4.8 and it is between 4.5 to 4.6.3. So for resin flow it is C equal to 4.8. The effective linear waterway is the total width of the waterway of the bridge minus the mean submerged width of the piers and their foundation down to the mean scour level. Okay, that only. The effective linear waterway is equal to, in terms of your definition, total width of the linear waterway of the bridge minus the mean submerged width of the piers and their foundation down to the mean scour level. Mean scour level means, scour means it is at the bottom, so whatever the soil will be there, that is scour depth, that is. Okay, this is linear waterway. We'll study this linear waterway with a figure also. In a video I will show to what is the linear waterway, and in that, now we'll move to the afflux. Flux means what it is. A flux is the heading up of water over the flood level caused by the construction of waterway at the bridge site. Means the water is flowing at water is flowing with this level. Okay, so you can consider it as a high flood level. Okay, at a high flood level the water is flowing. Okay, suddenly if any obstruction comes, obstruction comes, mean the water, the high depth of the water is going to increase. Okay, why? Due to the it is flowing with certain velocity. When obstruction comes, the velocity is directly reduces, and it what happens is it increases the depth of the water. The depth of the water, that is called as flux. Okay, it is measured by the difference in level of the water surface upstream and the downstream of the bridge. That only. It is measure how we are going to measure this flux means it is the difference in level between the water surface at upstream and the downstream of the bridge. Okay, and flux can also be computed with the equation that x equal to flux, that is equal to v square by 2z L raised to square c square L1 square minus 1. Here x is equal to what? A flux, v is velocity of the normal flow in the stream, g acceleration due to gravity, width of the stream at high flood level, L1 linear waterway under the bridge. L1 is what? Linear waterway under the bridge. C is coefficient of discharge through the bridge, taken as 0.1 for the sharp entry and 0.1 for the bell mounted entry. So here when you are going to see this formula, x is that a flux is directly proportional to the square of the velocity. Okay, a flux is directly proportional to the square of the velocity. If the velocity increases, the flux is also going to increase. What? If the velocity increases, the flux is directly increases square, and also it is directly proportional to the width of the stream. How much? It is width of the stream. If the width is more, flux is more. Okay, if the width of the flux is more, width of any pier or abutment is more, piers is more, then the flux will be more. It is inversely proportional to the linear waterway, isn't it? If it is inversely proportional to the linear waterway. If the linear waterway is more, means your flux will be less. You should think here. Linear waterway will be more. When it will be more? When there will be less number of abutments or piers. Okay, because the linear waterway is equal to total width of the water surface at the upstream minus the number of or mean average of the piers. Okay, if your mean average of the piers is less, means your automatically linear waterway will be more. If your linear waterway will be more, means your flux will be less. Okay, same thing. If your linear waterway less, when it is less? When the obstructions are more. When obstructions are more, means you are having more number of piers or more width of the piers at the foundation level. Okay, so this is your relation here. Okay, so this flux is directly proportional to the square of the velocity, and also it is directly proportional to the width of the stream at high flood level, and it is inversely proportional to the linear waterway. C, coefficient of discharge to the bridge taken as 0.7 for the sharp entry, 0.9 for the bell mounted entry. The flux should be kept minimum and limited to 300 mm. So the flux should be, how much we should keep the flux? Flux should be kept limited up to 300 mm. A flux causes increase in velocity on the downstream side, leading to greater scour and requiring deeper foundation. What happens to if you increase the afflux means? Afflux means what it is? It is the difference in level or elevation between the high upstream surface water surface at the upstream and water surface at the downstream. Clear? We should keep it is minimum of 300 mm. If the afflux is more, what happens is the velocity will becomes more. Okay, when the velocity will be more means the score it is directly proportional to the score. Okay, and the velocity more means the score is more scoring will be happen, more score depth you are going to obtain. So to keep as much as possible score depth minimum, we should keep afflux to be 300 mm. What happens if your score depth increases? There will be a failure of the one thing is we should keep or taken care of the foundation. We should go for a deep foundation. Otherwise there will be damage to the bridges. The increased velocity under the bridge should be kept below the allowable safe velocity for the bed material. The typical values of safe velocity are given below. Loose clay or fine sand up to 0.5 meter per second. Here we have kept some velocity or fixed the velocities here, depends upon the soil capacity. Okay, when it is a loose clay or fine sand will be there, or water velocity of water should be kept as much as 0.5 meter per up to 0.5 meter per second. Okay, loose clay or fine sand. When it is a coarse sand, you can keep 0.5 to 1.0 meter per second. When it is a fine gravel and sandy or stiff clay soil, you can keep 1 to 1.5 meter per second. When it is coarse gravel rocky soil, 1.5 to 2.5. When there are boulders and rocks, you can keep 2.5 to 5. Again I will tell you here how the relation of this score depth and the velocity. Okay, how this is what afflux, score depth, velocity, they are interrelated to their bridge. Okay, what they are telling is the increased velocity under the bridge should be kept below the allowable safe velocity for the bed material. The velocity we should keep based on the what kind of soil we are having at the foundation level, isn't it? Okay, when it is a loose clay or fine sand, there is a velocity should be kept minimum, that is 0.5 meter per second. If we increase the velocity, what happens? If we increase the velocity, if in case of loose clay and fine sand, if our velocity is 2 to 3 meter per second, there will be more erosion of the soil, because it is a loose clay soil and fine sand. With that velocity, these particles will flow with the water. Okay, so as a result, there will be scoring will going to be take place. The score depth will going to be increased, so that there will be no there it requires more foundation depth, or it may be damage to the foundation of that piers. Okay, clear? Second, when it is coarse and when it comes for the coarse gravel and rocky soil, the velocity may be 1.5 to 2.5. If it can resist up to the velocity 1.5 to 2.5. If the minimum, you can keep up to 1.5 to 2.5. Why? Because the coarse gravel and rocky soil having higher density, so they are going to settle by their own. Up to the velocity of 2.5, they will not get eroded. They will not move along with the water. Okay, that's the reason when there is a coarse gravel and rocky soil, we can keep a limit of water velocity will be up to 1.5 to 2.5. And there are boulders and rocks, you can keep 2.5 to 5 meters also, because boulders are again having higher denser material. They are going to be fixed, the molecular bonding between these boulders will be strong, and they are going to be steep. They will not move with the velocity of the water. Okay, this is the relation between the afflux water afflux velocity of water and the linear waterway. I hope you all are clear with this concept. I will explain once again here. Afflux is the heading up of water over the flood level caused by the construction of waterway at the bridge site. Okay, heading up of water over the flood level. When heading up of water will happen, water is flowing with some velocity at particular level. Okay, there is no level difference. It is flowing at certain level. Okay, when there is obstruction to that water, then there will be a difference in level. The level is going to be increased. The level is going to be increased. When it is going to be increased? When there is a obstruction. The obstruction may be in terms of what? These piers and abutments, right? So, in definition of afflux is the difference in elevation or level of the water surface at upstream side and downstream side of the bridge side. So there is a formula that afflux x is equal to v square by 2z L square minus L square divided by c square into L1 square minus 1. Here v is the velocity of normal flow of the stream, z is the acceleration due to gravity, capital L equal to width of the stream at the high flood level, L1 linear waterway under the bridge. Afflux can cause the increase. If your afflux is more, it causes the increase the velocity of the flow on the downstream side, leading to the greater score and requires deeper foundations. Now, economical span. So when you call it as a economical span, economical word, see here, considering the only variable items for a given linear waterway, the total cost of the superstructure increases and the total cost of the substructure decreases with increase in the span length. When increase in the span length, the cost of superstructure increases, cost of substructure decreases. When we should have a most economical means when the cost of construction of superstructure and substructure equals. The cost of construction of superstructure is equal to cost of construction of substructure, then we can call it as a economic one. The most economical span length is that for which the cost of superstructure equals to the cost of substructure. This condition may be derived as follows. So we will derive the condition how the cost of superstructure is equal to substructure, then equal to its economical span. So let us take A equal to cost of approach, B equal to cost of two abutments including the foundations. A equal to what? Cost of approach. Whenever there is a bridge, there is a approach, isn't it? So that approach, that cost is equal to A, and B is equal to what? The cost of abutments and piers. Cost of two abutments and their foundation. L is what? Linear waterway, total linear waterway. That is width of the stream at upstream linear surface of the water, width of the water at the surface. S is the length of one span. So n is number of span. Okay. So we are having the various pairs. Length is L equal to length of S is equal to length of one span of the bridge. N is number of spans. If n equal to number of spans, n minus 1 equal to number of piers. Cost of one pier including the foundation. P is equal to what? Cost of one pier including the foundation. C is equal to total cost of the bridge. C is equal to what? Total cost of the bridge. So what are the bridge now? So your C is equal to what now? Total cost of the bridge equal to it is equal to cost of the approaches, that is equal to A, plus the cost of two abutment with the foundation, that is B, plus the n minus 1 number of the spans. N equal to number of spans, so n minus 1 number of piers. Okay, so cost of one pier is P, so it is n minus 1 number of the piers into P plus n number of spans, Ks square. Here K is what? K is a constant and S is length of one span. L is length of one span. N into K into S square. And K dash L. K dash L is cost of railing, flooring, etc. is proportional to the total length of a bridge and is now taken as K dash L. It is the cost of railing, floorings, etc. So that is our K dash L. So the total cost is equal to what? It is A plus B plus n minus 1 times the piers plus n times the Ks square, that is spans. K dash L is the cost for railings and floorings. This is our total cost of the bridge. So we should make this cost as the cost of construction of superstructure is equal to cost of construction of substructure. Okay, that is dc by ds should be equal to 0. What? Dc by ds with respect to span. We should differentiate this total cost with respect to what? Span. So it is dc by ds. If dc by if you are going to differentiate this c with respect to s, differentiation of a with respect to s equal to 0, because differentiation of any constant is equal to 0. So differentiation of d by ds of a is equal to 0. D by ds of b is equal to also 0, and b where b is also a constant, plus n minus 1 times the p. N minus 1 times the p. Here n is equal to L by S. Here n is equal to L by S. That is total linear waterway divided by span. Isn't it? It is n means number of spans, right? N means number of spans. How you going to obtain the spans? Number of spans, that is total length of the bridge, okay, or total linear waterway, minus the divided by the span, you will get the number of spans. One span length, if you divide it by one span length, you will get the number of spans. So n is number of spans. We will substitute n equal to L by S. I will explain once again why it is n equal to L by S. L is what? The total length of the bridge. It includes various number of spans, isn't it? So S is what? It is length of one span length. It is length of one span. Okay. So if you divide the total length divided by one length, you will get number of spans, that is n. So L by S equal to n. Wherever n is there, we will substitute L by S. Okay. Now So L by S minus 1 into P. L by S, complete the bracket, into P. Now we'll differentiate this one here. Differentiation of 1 by S. Okay, differentiation of what it is, 1 by S. See here, that is equal to minus 1 by S square. Okay, differentiation of 1 is 0. P will take it out. Now again it is what, n into k s square, that is L by S k s square. So 1s, L by S is there, 1s here, 1s here, s get cancels, only 1s remains. So it is LKS, right? What it is, LKS. So differentiation of s with respect to s equal to 1. So what remains, LK remains. Okay, so now it is minus PL divided by S square plus KL. Okay, so you can take L outside, or P by S out, P by S here. It is now it is PL by S square is equal to KL. LL get cancelled. P by S equal to K. So directly now P equal to K S square. What we obtained, P equal to K S square. Shall I explain once again this one? See, from the beginning I will come once again here. Economical span. When we call it is economical span, means the total cost of construction of superstructure is equal to total cost of construction of substructures. Then we can call it as a economical span, right? We should to derive that one, what we should do is we should know the total cost of the bridge first. Okay, the total cost of the bridge is equal to, it is the cost of the approaches, that is our A. Cost of the abutments, so there are 2 abutments, so that is cost of abutment with the foundation, that we naming it as B. Capital L, that is equal to total linear waterway, that means total length of the bridge. S is length of one span, or one span length, it is kept S. And S equal to number of spans. How to obtain this N? That is total length divided by one span length, you will get the number of spans. Okay, P is the cost of one pier. P is what? Cost of one pier including the foundation. C is the total cost of the bridge. So therefore total cost of the bridge C is equal to, it is A, that is cost of approaches, plus cost of abutments, that is B, plus n minus 1 times the P. If your number of span is n minus 1 means it is number of piers, n minus 1 number of the piers into P, plus the span cost, it is NK S square. Okay, why we are taking NK square? Assuming that the cost of the superstructure of one span is proportional to the square of the span length, total cost of superstructure equal to NK S square. So that is NK S square, plus the cost of railing and all those floorings etc. is equal to K dash L. So when it will be equal means we should differentiate with respect to the span, that is dc by ds should equal to be 0, differentiating with respect to the s. So that is dc by ds is equal to 0. Here our n is equal to L by S. Substitute wherever n is there L by S. Come here, that is equal to A plus B into L by S minus 1 into P plus L by S K into S square plus K dash by L. So differentiation of A with respect to S means it is a constant. Okay, that is equal to 0. dA by ds is equal to 0. dB by ds is equal to 0. L by S minus 1 into P. Differentiation of 1 by S with respect to S is 1 by S square minus 1 by S square it is. So it is minus L by S square. Differentiation of minus 1 it is 0. So it will become what? Minus PL by S square. Okay. Now differentiation of L by S is there. So here one more S square plus S is there. So S 1S and 1S get cancelled. So remaining is LKS. Differentiation of LKS with respect to S is equal to what? 1. So remaining is LK there. And differentiation of K dash L with respect to S is equal to 0. What remains here? Minus PL by S square plus KL is equal to 0. So PL by S square is equal to what? KL. L on the left hand side, L on the right hand side get cancels. Remaining is P by S square equal to K. So your P is equal to K S square. So what is P? P is cost of one pair, that is equal to K into S square. So what is K then here? K is a constant and it is S square. Clear? Next, the score depth. So in the previous only, in the flux only, we have studied what is score. Now here we are studying score depth. These things are interrelated: velocity, linear waterway, flux, and score. These are interrelated. Okay, scour may be defined as the removal of material from the bed banks of the streams at the time of passing of flood discharge. Okay, when the water is flowing across the bridges, when if it is a with heavier velocity, means it is again related to what the soil condition and the velocity of the water. If the more the velocity and the soil is of sandy loose soil, there will be more scour depth. Okay, so when in such conditions we required a deep foundation and a heavy foundation. So scour means what? Flowing of the soil particles along with the water in the bridge foundation. Clear? Where the velocity of the stream exceeds the limiting velocity that can be withstood by the particles of the bed material. If the bridge and its approaches do not constrict the natural flow, the scour will be small. The scour is aggravated at a nose of the piers and at the beds. The maximum depth of the scour should be measured with reference to the existing structures near the proposed bridge site. If this is possible, such soundings are best done during or immediately after a flood. Due to allowance should be made in the observed values for additional scour that may be occur due to design discharge being greater than the flood discharge for which scour was observed, and also due to the increased velocity due to obstruction to the flow caused by the construction of the bridge. Where the above practical method is not possible, the mean depth of scour may be computed by the equation for natural stream in alluvial beds. Here they are given the formula, that is DSM, that is mean depth of scour below the high flood level in meters is equal to dB discharge in meter cube per second per meter width obtained as the total discharge divided by the effective linear waterway, and KSF is silt factor for representative sample of the bed material as shown in the table below. and it is taken as 1.76 times the square root of the particle size in mm or kst. Now there are type of the materials. Say that the particles in mm and silt factor. So you have calculated the silt factor and given here. Okay, now we'll move here. We'll see a video with the figures. Here a flux is an increase in water that can occur at the upstream of the structure at high flows. More formally, a flux can be defined as the maximum difference in water level for specific flow if the structure were to be removed. So here you can see the figure. The water, there is a pier and the water is flowing with some velocity. Whenever there is a pier, there is an increase in the level of water. Okay, this height, so y and y dash we have mentioned here. The the water is flowing with a velocity from the upstream to the downstream with the gravity, isn't it? Okay, clear. And there is a pier. Due to the pier there is a obstruction. Due to that there is a change in the level of the water. There is change in level of the water, isn't it? So due to this, again there is a drop down of the water. Now, afterwards there will be increase in the velocity of the water. Increase in the velocity of the water will what will do this increase in water of the water means this will be flowing at higher speed, higher velocity, that may cause the scouring action on the bed of the concrete. Scouring action may take place. Okay. This is the this one here. So as we studied what is a flux and how much we should keep, we should keep limit up to 300 mm according to the Indian standard. Okay, if the flux is more, then will be score will be more. Again, it is the how it is related, the scoring, it is related to our soil condition, soil, which kind of soil it is, and what the velocity we are maintaining, isn't it? Now we'll study the linear waterway. Linear waterway is the total width of the waterway up the bridge minus the mean submerged width of the piers and the foundation down to the mean score level that we have studied, isn't it? Afflux and score increases as a linear waterway decreases. Thus, it is not desirable to decrease the linear waterway. Large diameter piers decreases linear waterway. At the same time, large diameter piers are less expensive, so if we want to provide large diameter, we have to make foundation deeper. what we have seen in the formula, that we have seen where a flux is directly proportional to the velocity, right? Okay, a flux is directly proportional to the velocity. If the velocity increases, a flux increases. If these two are inversely proportional to the score depth. Okay, here you can see the linear water phase equal to L1 plus L2 plus L3. So here what they have taken, L1 is the clear distance between the two piers. Okay, L2 is the clear distance between the again two medial two piers. L3 is the clear distance between the that high fluid level, the surface, and the this pier. Okay, so total linear waterway is the width of the waterway at the surface level, okay, minus the mean or average of the width of the piers, that is equal to what? Linear waterway. Clear here with the figure also. So linear waterway is directly proportional to is equal to c into square root of the key. So c is a constant, it is varying between 4.5 to 6.3, and q is the discharge. Clear this one, linear waterway. Score is, it is spelling mistake, it's not score, it is score, SCOUR. Score may be defined as the removal of material from the bed and the banks of the stream during the passage of fluid discharge when the velocity of steam exceeds the limiting velocity that can be withstood by the particles of bed material. If the waterway is small, there will be more score. Okay, bridge score is one of the three main causes of the bridge failure. You can see how the failure is going to be occur here. What are the reasons of score means? Reduced waterway, small opening ratio, debris accumulation, or alluvial stream. These are the reasons of score. What is the depth of the score? It is 1.34 into dB square divided by kf square. This also we have seen. It is again depends upon the silt factor and all those things. Again, we have studied what are the safe velocity of the water should be kept with respect to the soil condition. When it is low as fine sand, it is up to, we should keep 0.5 meter per second. When it is coarse sand, 0.5 to 1. When it is fine gravel, steep clay, it is 1 to 1.5. These are the things we have studied. So clear with this? Okay, clear here. This is about the linear waterways, cover, and flux, and how they are related, and we have derived the one formula to make it is economical one. Okay, so In the next video we'll study about the IRC, what are the codes which we are using for the design of the bridges. It is Indian Road Congress 6, IRC 6 and IRC 21. In IRC 6 we are going to study about the different loading conditions and what are the loads, different types of loads which are going to be act on the bridges, and the loading conditions, which are the loading should be considered for the design of the bridges. These things we'll study in our next video. So far, if you are having any doubts and difficulties, you can call me or you can contact me, and you can raise your questions in this video lecture also. You can click on comment, or you can send me personally your query or your doubts or difficulties. We'll solve your doubts and difficulties here.